Welcome back to the program. The United States has imposed sanctions on 2 militia leaders from the Central African Republic, saying they were responsible for the prolonged instability in the country. A chief of the Muslim Seleka rebels and a leader of the Christian anti-Balaka militias, who were rivals in the country's civil war, are accused of teaming up afterwards to destabilize the country. Any assets they have in the United States will be frozen, though it's unclear if they actually have any. U.S. citizens are generally banned from any transactions with them. Zambia's detained opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema has been denied legal representation. A statement from his UPND party says his lawyers have been stopped from seeing him during visiting hours. It adds that the action goes beyond or against the law, which clearly states that accused persons, irrespective of their crime, must have access to a lawyer of their choice. Yesterday, Mr. Hichilema was charged with treason following an incident at the weekend when a convoy he was traveling in reportedly refused to give way to President Edgar Lungu's motorcade. 31-year-old Mahmoud Abdullah has been named as the suicide bomber who attacked a cathedral in Alexandria, Egypt. He has been described as a fugitive with links to militant cells that carried out previous strikes in the country. The Interior Ministry said in a statement that Abdullah had been a resident of Suez province and used to work for a petroleum company. Abdullah detonated his explosives at the entrance to St. Mark's Cathedral, the historic seat of the Coptic Pope, killing 17 people. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the Palm Sunday attacks. A Gambian man who attempted to reach Europe through Libya says Africans are being sold like animals in the Libyan city of Sabah. Recounting his experience, he says armed men in the Libyan capital Tripoli demanded money, and if you're unable to pay, you'll be forced to work to make up for it.
A Gambian man who attempted to reach Europe through Libya said Africans are being sold. Sabah, located 778 kilometers south of the Libyan capital Tripoli, is the country's main migrant smuggling hub for African migrants on their way to Europe.
First place you reach there, they will tell you to call your family for you to pay the money to their connection. So they will keep you there, waste your time. They will not give you a chance to go out to know the town, what is going on in town. So what they will press you to call your people for them to pay the money, and the price will for them, the price they will tell you, and the price they are not the same. Sabah to Tripoli is 15,000 in Gambian dollars, but they will tell you that 25,000.
The UN Migration Agency, that's the International Organization for Migration, said on Tuesday, April 11, that a growing number of African migrants passing through Libya are traded in what they call slave markets before being held for ransom, forced labor, or sexual exploitation. Samba's story echoed that of IOM's report. He left Gambia 11 months ago after paying smugglers to reach Tripoli. By the time he reached Sabah, armed men demanded more money for the journey.
So when you don't have 25, you come and tell them that your family is poor, you cannot have no helper. They will tell you that now we will leave you. Every day you come from work, you will deposit the money fixed. So in dinar you pay 700 dinar, 600 dinar for them to take you in Tripoli. So that will take you time. Maybe you will be in there 3 months, 4 months before you have that money.
Unable to pay smugglers, he was held in compounds and forced to work to make up the money.
You can go for construction, to be a laborers, to go and park blocks, or to mix cements, to take blocks upstairs, more than 3-story buildings, 3 decks. You will carry 2 blocks, go on up until last floor. When you finish, sometimes the Arab will tell you not pay you. They will tell you go out, barla. You remove gun and you will go out. At the end of the job, no money.
Samba returned to Brikama on April 4 with the help of the IOM, along with 168 other Gambians. West African migrants interviewed by the IOM also recounted being bought and sold in garages and car parks in Sabah.
I will not advise any Gambian or any citizen as a black man to take this journey, because what I experienced there is just like a slavery is running in Libya for the blacks. They say slavery is finished, but this.
Othman Belbisi, head of the IOM's Libya mission, told journalists in Geneva on Tuesday that migrants are traded for between $200 and $500 and are held on an average for 2 or 3 months.
But in Uganda, refugees are granted freedom of movement, employment rights and access to public utilities. But the war in South Sudan is putting its neighbors' tolerance of refugees to the test. Under the pressure of nearly 1 million South Sudanese, cracks are emerging in Uganda's refugee system, routinely touted as one of the world's most progressive, especially against the growing hostility to migrants in Europe and the United States.
A year ago, this area was mostly untouched, save for a few small huts scattered across the wilderness. Now, it's a sprawl of tarpaulin shacks, housing thousands of South Sudanese refugees fleeing a 3-year civil war that has triggered the biggest cross-border exodus in Africa since the 1994 Rwandan genocide. And they keep coming. Last week, more than 3,000 people arrived at the border in a single morning after an alleged massacre by South Sudan government troops in Pajok, a South Sudanese town with a population of some 50,000 people. But the influx of refugees is testing Uganda's generosity.
The idea is fine. In the way they are settled is fine, but only that the area is not suitable in terms of agriculture. And then even water is scarce. Water is scarce. Water is just trucked. It is trucked to the refugees, and sometimes trucks may get spoiled, and it takes longer to get water.
Under a Ugandan law passed in 2006, refugees are granted freedom of movement, employment rights, and access to public services.
That's Network Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I'm Joke Rogers.